Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 11th Maplewood City Council Manager Workshop. City Clerk Sint, would you do our roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well.
Councilmember Cave will not be joining us tonight. And in just a moment, we will ask if Councilmember Lee is here.
This is roll call.
I'm present.
Thank you.
Council members, would someone like to make a motion to approve our agenda?
So move.
Moved by Juniman. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Lee, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Tonight, we have unfinished business. We have our 2026 budget discussion. We've been having budget discussions since, I think, May. We are open up to public comment this evening. We also are taking public comment at our next meeting. I think, Mr. Sable, you were going to kick this off, and then we've got a presentation by our finance director, and then we'll take public comment.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As you said, as part of the discussion last year, I thought the City Council really appreciated the budget outreach and engagement that we did, and we had budget presentations. I think there were a total of 7 or so presentations before this body, and one of the requests that was made last year was to do more public outreach at specific events, and so Joe Rube took it upon himself to handcraft some budget materials, an actual way for an interactive tool for residents to kind of see and understand the budget, and also providing some handouts at those public events. We're going to have one coming up on September 19th. Will be another opportunity in the park as part of the Friday fireworks. But we wanted to walk through tonight really to talk about sort of the budget process and what you can expect between now and the end of the calendar year. So I believe December 9th will be the formal adoption of the budget, but we'll want to walk through the process of how we intend to get public feedback and materials. And so I'll turn it over to Mr. Rube to kind of walk through some of the things. And then one of the other components I just want to add is we've really tried to do a different level of interactions on our city website. So there's a landing page that talks about the budget process and then links to all of the budget materials. And so as every time we meet, we'll continue to add those to the budget so people can get a really clear picture of the process and also the information that goes in behind it. And if my memory serves, last year's budget and capital improvement document is 603 pages, and that's always available for people if they want to read all of those elements there. So with your permission, Mayor, I'll turn it over to Mr. Rube.
Certainly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. If I could get the slide deck up, please. Thank you. So as City Manager Sable mentioned tonight, it's just kind of briefly discussing the budget process and then get public comment. So quick budget overview. We start off with council priorities as we go through the year. We go all the way back to 2024 and beyond to see what worked, what didn't work, how we can improve. So we're making improvements as we go. City leadership reviews the current year budget and then the future budget. So they all department heads submitted their budgets for 2026 as well as their capital improvement requests for 26 to 2029. During this process, city department heads have met with both City Manager Sable and myself to kind of discuss what the needs are, why there's increases, where there's cuts, and how we're moving forward. Previous meetings, we had a discussion about the EDA budget, and we'll continue those discussions. Financial management plan, that is currently in the works by our consultant Ellers, and they're working on that, and we should have something to staff by the end of August, early September that we can review, get some additional input, help them out with clarifying some information, and that'll be brought back to council at a later date. Budget engagement, I'll go through some of that information as City Manager mentioned, as well as our dedicated web page for the budget. And then in October, November, we will have the department presentations, which probably 5, 6, 7 different presentations to go through. And then in December, we'll adopt the 2026 budget. So this is the actual budget process and timeline. As you're aware, in May, we kicked it off, had the first engagement. at the fire station open house, and I'll discuss that a little bit more, our EDA budget. We did have the city building tour planned for July, however, we had to cancel that due to some weather issues, but looking to reschedule that at some point so council members can really take a look at the assets that we have and how important it is to reinvest in those assets. We have the workshop tonight, and then in August, on August 25th, the second one with public comment for both of those, which is a new feature or new option for this year that we just started. And then September, we'll adopt the preliminary levy. That levy is the highest point that it can be. We can go down, we just can't go up after that point. Again, we'll have the Friday night fireworks engagement with residents. And then additional conversations, hoping for September 22nd to have a workshop with the 10-year financial management plan from Ellers, and then looking November and December, presentations, and then the final adoption. As a reminder, we take a look at all different aspects for our key stakeholders when it comes to the budget, so we want to make sure that we are reflecting on the needs of the residents and the businesses of Maplewood, as well as staff and staff safety, and then council and what the priorities are for the upcoming year. So for our budget engagement, we've expanded this significantly this upcoming year. So starting off, we're putting the articles in the Maplewood Living, so you might remember this one from a previous article. And then as we get additional information to make things a little bit more concrete, we can add more to the Maplewood Living. The budget webpage, and I'm going to go back and forth between my presentation to the actual live website, because I'd like you all to see what the live website looks like. So I will switch over quick.
Council members, if you haven't taken a look at the live, our webpage, excuse me, our website, in terms of the kinds of accessibility and transparency that we have for all of these all of this budget data, I would encourage you to do so. I was looking at it just even today, and you can drill down and find out where every single penny of the city's money is being spent by going to our website. If you notice, Joe, I know you're going to be talking about this, but we have so many resources. The other thing, too, that you could do is every 2 weeks when we have a council, well, all of our checks that are written on behalf of the city are included in our council packets. So we have a lot of information, a lot of data. I would encourage people to take a look at that information so that they can understand a little bit better about how we put together our budget and where our money goes. So Joe, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the finance page for right through the city's website. On here, you can find a lot of information. As the Mayor mentioned, you can get all payable information, including all Visa transactions, right on through the packet every 2 weeks, as well as payroll information and any other disbursement. So I just want to mention that. So it's not only just accounts payable, visas, payroll, and any other wires that go out are in the packet every 2 weeks. Very detailed. So with our finance webpage, we do have quite a bit of information here for our capital improvement plans, our financial reports, additional rating information from S&P, who rates our bonds from year to year. And then we have our budget page that's new for 2026, and then our budget book. So you can get previous year budget books under this link. Otherwise, the current year budget book is under this link. Hopefully it pulls up quick, but it is a 603-page document, so there's a lot of good information in here. So if people want to go through and review it, there's a lot of good detailed information. So I'll get there here quickly. So like I mentioned, 603 pages. It goes through all kinds of different areas. When you want to start looking at strategic plans, the executive overview, personnel changes throughout the city, fund summaries, and then once you click on these links, it brings you right to the different funds. So that's one area that we enhanced. We have previous budgets out there, but then we wanted to bring it out here out on the side so it's a little bit more clear. And then for the budget information, this is the new page that we created this year. This has the survey that we've taken a look at in the past. Survey results right here. how the property tax is distributed throughout the city. The receipt that we used from last year to show residents where their money's actually going and how much. So the majority of it is going to public safety. And then how it's broken out between the county, schools, other districts like mosquito control and that. So all this information is right on our website, as well as a brief calendar describing what we're going to discuss from month to month. One of the areas is this survey, as I just mentioned, I showed the picture here. So residents are asked, or anybody that's taken this, to rank their top 4 priorities within the city. And then they can make some comments as well to help council as they set the budget. Let's see. A couple things I'd just like to note. We did receive quite a few comments from this survey. Not all of them are necessarily budget related, but I just wanted to point out a few that are budget related. And I do also want to note some of them don't even relate to the city of Maplewood. So there are comments about the schools and the school districts and that we should be funding the schools and that more. So it's something that we can't control, but still comments in here. So one of them is to maintain maintain our diversity and land within the city. So a lot of that would be open spaces and parks and that when it comes to the land. There's a few concerns about property taxes, mainly considering moving the property taxes. One resident stated that they're concerned about the property taxes and they're looking at moving due to it. So I want to mention that. And also they wanted council to consider that not everyone can budget for drastic increases from year to year. For infrastructure and maintenance, one comment was public safety and EMS are the #1 priority. And then streets and city appearance overall follows that. There's quite a few comments about the historic farm and helping fund that, as well as streets and sidewalks. Another individual asked to look into potential fraud or misuse of funds within the city or waste within the city. So and that's all the things that we have when it comes to fraud, waste, and that we have internal controls between the employees that make purchases to supervisors up to the city manager, and then ultimately going to council, and then on an annual basis going to our auditors who audit our records. Let's see, other comments for parks and natural resources. So a little bit of everything. Concerns about the high taxes, but also concerns about keeping some of the assets up and improved. So, are there any council questions on this webpage? Perfect. And this is something also that under this finance page, we're looking at adding additional information, including like property taxes 101, information that we can pull and links that we can connect to with the county or even the League of Minnesota Cities that do provide some information on this, so it can help residents better understanding how the property tax system works, as well as links to the other articles and presentations from prior budget meetings. So people have those more readily available so that they can review them. Switch back quick. And then the budget engagement, as City Manager Sable mentioned, I created this little engagement tool so we can, and we brought that up one other day, one other meeting, that people can kind of vote for what they would like. So we will have this at another event. The nice thing about it, all those little clips are something that we can switch those up pretty easily. So if we don't want to, we're not necessarily looking at the high level, if we want to get something a little bit more specific, we can use this at a park engagement or a playground engagement to see what people are interested in. They can kind of vote there too. Oh, before I get past that, just wanted to fill you in with all the chips at the bottom there. The percentages, how those worked out, similar to how people voted in the actual website. 13% for natural spaces and trails, 22% to fire EMS, 13% to police, 28% to parks and playgrounds, 15% to streets and public works, and then 10% to community development. And with that, I just wanted to throw out there before we actually start discussing some of the budget, where we've been with our levies over the past 10 years. So the last year was the highest at 12.49. The lowest was 2021 at 0%, and then the average for the 10-year period is 5.35%. And then finally, as we are going through the budget process, we do look at some of the uncertainties with things. I do have information on the local government aid, the LGA money that we did receive. It's now certified, and we're getting about $14,000 more than what we previously received, which is great. It didn't go down. It's always a concern. It's something that could be cut pretty easily, but we use that to offset the cost of roads and some of the other expenses the city has. Union contracts, we're in the middle of getting through some of those. And then with some of the lease revenue, we have a couple of leases, and one lease that's in place and another one that we're working on right now. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and if there aren't any questions, ask that you'd open it to public comment.
Thank you for that presentation. I think that's very helpful to kind of tee things up. Council members, are there any questions for Mr. Rube? Councilmember Villavicencio.
Mine's a very small question about the survey. I noticed you have to hit 4 to answer the first question. I'm wondering what people think about just allowing people to maybe just do like 2 instead of all 4, because maybe some people only want to say they have 2 priorities. They don't want to have to say they have all 4 priorities to answer the survey. Just a thought.
Mr. Rube, do you know how the survey is set up? If someone only had 2 priorities, would they be able to still enter that response?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I believe so. I can work. I didn't set it up. The communications department did, but I can certainly chat with them to see if that's something that we can bring that down and just making it as a maximum of 4. But whether they want to do 1, 2, or 3, I believe we can do that. With other surveys we can. So, but I'll touch base with them on that.
Thanks. I see no other questions, and so we have, I know several individuals who would like to make presentations during public comment. So, let's start with public comment. If you are interested in presenting, you will have 3 minutes if you would like to sign in up there. And then you've got 3 minutes to chat with the council and tell us your thoughts about our budget.
Sure. Good evening, Council.
Would you please sign in? Thank you.
Good evening, Council. You know, I'm glad you have us sign in, Ms. Mayor, where we live. It would be nice to know where you live, where others of the members who are elected officials live. But you know where we live. So, long before Donald Trump, this council was shutting down the city to public availability. You remove public comment, you remove public access. You use the word process over and over and over, which is a hoax because there is no process up here. Long before what you turn on the news and hear about every night, you, Ms. Mayor, were involved in that. You, Mr. Sable, have accelerated that. It was a disaster under Ms. Coleman, the former city manager. It's twice as worse under you. You tell us that all the employees are doing an exceptional job. We're not debating that. We look at your job, and we know your job has not been an exceptional job. Long before you've seen No Kings, we were asking for No Queens. We know, Miss Mayor, the only reason you're mayor is because the Queen here, Miss Juneman, made you a mayor. all by yourself. Again, we ask that we have no queens, but of course, you've rigged this system so bad. Now, of course, the main point, because 3 minutes isn't very long to get a discussion of the whole budget, although you apparently have this extensive process. Mr. Rubik's Cube's puzzle here is he talks about accessibility and transparency. He has these lines of expenses, but nobody has any knowledge what they are for. Ms. Lois Knudsen over there spent over $1,000 on ICMA. Okay, what's that? Mr. Rubik Cube, you spent $1,000 at the Westin Hotel. Mr. Darrow, you spent $1,000 somewhere. No idea what any of it is. And that's the whole circumstances, what's going on here. Everything is secret. Everything is hidden. You're building housing that the city had no ability to sustain. While you have created no real jobs, you're building housing which people are going to need to use food shelves, and if the food shelves don't even have money to sustain people the way they are now, they're cutting back. It's a disaster up here, and you have completely eliminated citizens' impact, citizen input. That is fake. To have citizen, and you call that more extensive and significant than last year? One thing you need to do, last year it was abysmal, your property tax. You need to bring property taxes way down. With working at home like the city is doing, 30%, property taxes should be falling, expenses should be dramatically falling. Thank you for your time, Ms. Mayor, Mr. Manager, Council.
Is there anyone else who would like to present tonight?
Yes, I would.
Good evening.
Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I do have some questions.
Could you first state your name so that we all know it?
Mark Nichols.
Thank you.
One of the questions I have is that if you look at the disbursements over the last 10 years, there's quite a rise, almost what might be characterized as a hockey stick in terms of a graph, with the large increase the last year. I'm wondering what that was occasioned by, or what produced that significant increase. Can anybody give me some?
You know, what we'll do, I should have made this maybe a little bit more clear. You get 3 minutes. Want to hold that time at 2, okay? Thank you. You get to ask whatever questions, comments, give us suggestions. We want to hear that. And then after your time is up, then we'll turn it back over to Mr. Rube or Mr. Sable, who will be able to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you.
But we don't want to take your time. You've got your full time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rube, did you get that one? Okay, go ahead.
So another question I had, I looked at the strategic plan, and it's very comprehensive, very wide-ranging, very ambitious. Yet I'm wondering, in the budget process, is there a winnowing process where you decide which are the most important and how much resource to put in those? And ultimately, would those goals and objectives turn out to be what could be characterized as SMART goals, which means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-based? One other question, a couple other questions. One being, with the climate change that we're seeing, I'm wondering if there's a heat map that's done of the infrastructure of the city of Maplewood to identify those particular features that would need to be a high priority in terms of reducing the city's vulnerability to damages and thereby disruption of business and the ability of people to get around and so on. Maybe one final question would be, with the volatility in Washington, D.C., and the difficulty in forecasting what the requirements are going to be, what the resources are going to be, One example would be weather forecasting and FEMA's availability to help the city if there was a major climate-related disaster or other natural disaster. Are there contingencies built into the budget process that would allow the city to overcome those kinds of challenges or at least reduce the impact of those? Got 25 seconds left. That's probably plenty. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. There's always our next meeting, too. You can come back. So going back to the first question had to do with an increase. Mr. Rube, I asked you if you had that question.
So thank you, Mayor and Council. My understanding was based off of the graph and the fact that the levy increased so significantly. So it kind of ties a couple different things. So for the most part, our levies are set primarily based off of wage salaries and benefits for employees, because the majority of our cost is due to services that we provide. In years past, for quite a long time, we've tried keeping the cost down as significant as possible, including to a 0% levy back in 2021. So that included cutting any additional spending, and then if we had any increases in personnel costs, we'd have to offset that. Over many years, there wasn't a big priority on setting up contingencies just in case a natural disaster happens or a roof collapses or there's a water issue in that. So as we're going forward, we're trying to look at that because we need to sustain and keep our buildings and assets in the best shape possible, because ultimately if we aren't taking care of them, it's just going to cost us more in the long run, including potential insurance claims and that. Over the last few years, we had significant increases, and that was due to a pay comp study that was conducted back in 2022 and implemented in 2023. We went from a 5% levy increase in 22 to a 6.5, and that was just estimating what that pay comp study might look like in implementing it. Going from the 23 to 24, it increased to 9% and then up to 12.49. And part of that has to do with adding additional firefighter paramedics in order to make sure that we are meeting the goals set by council to make sure that we're responding to our residents in their time of need. And the best way to do that is to have the additional personnel on staff so they can. With each individual in public safety, as you're aware, hopefully aware, whether it's police and fire, or EMS, there's quite a bit of expense that goes along with all the equipment that each individual has to have on them at any one time, as well as the fire apparatuses and the ambulances that we have. So the costs keep on increasing. We do have additional staff. So that's where the majority of the increases keep on going up from there. We're currently looking at our community center and the costs, and we discussed this at a previous meeting. For most of the time that we've had the community center, there was not major capital contributions towards the community center. So now we are at a point where there's millions of dollars worth of repairs that need to happen. So we're trying to, as we look forward to the budgets, plan for that and make sure we do have those contingencies going forward so we can maintain our assets.
Thank you. Mr. Sable, in terms of the strategic plan and the relationship to our budget, and SMART goals. Can you respond to that?
Certainly, and thank you, Mayor and council members. And so with the strategic plan items that were in the packet tonight are really the going forward items. And so one of the pieces that we do as staff internally is we develop work plans for each of